Hey guys, welcome back. It's Meg. Today we're going to be running a 25 Tyrannical Theater of Pain on my monk. You can find my stat weights in the top left, my legendary in the top right, and my talent choices and trinkets in the bottom right. I just want to apologize as well. I am getting over an illness, so my voice is going to be a little scratchy for the majority of this video because I started recording it and then finished it when I started feeling better, so sorry about that. This first boss is probably one of the scariest, so we're going to go ahead and lust right away, and we're also going to get our Fallen Order rolling, because we do have to deal with this Raging Bloodhorn, and we're only going to be able to soothe one of them, as we only have one soothe in the group. The biggest thing on this fight is dealing with Adesia and her heavy single target damage, while also making sure that you are healing the people that get the Searing Death on them. Those two are pretty big single target damage dealers, as that's what's going to drain your mana the most. So make sure that you're getting those kicks and you're making sure you're watching out for the Mortal Strike from your tank. The best way I found for this fight to cycle cooldowns would be Fallen Order, Crane, Fallen Order, and Revival, and then just kind of spot healing people as you need until Fallen Order could come up again depending on how long your fight lasts. The biggest thing that I'm looking for here is making sure that I keep my tank alive, because this boss, especially on Tyrannical, is super hard hitting, especially for Vengeance DH. I normally play with the Blood DK, so this was a little bit of an adjustment, so I was maybe being a little bit overly cautious with his health. Even on a Tyrannical week, these ads can be a little bit spicy, so we're just going to go ahead and pop Fallen just so we can do some DPS to the Arbalest. As Fallen Order's falling off here, we're gonna go ahead and pop Crane. It's not Grievous or anything like that, but we do still have 2 adds up, and we do get a little bit of melee DPS out of Chi-Chi. Trying to get our lieutenants out of the way here. Gonna go ahead and pop Fallen Order. It's not a Grievous week, so you don't really need to, but I just wanted to spend the time doing some DPS. We don't really have any cooldowns left, but we don't really need them. Not a whole lot's going to be happening here. The only thing you really have to be aware of is the little guys jumping around, and gotta make sure that we're getting those kicks, but if one of them gets off, we do have revival, and by the time that we need Fallen Order, it'll be up here in about 4 or 5 seconds. On this pack, we're going to pop Crane. We don't really need it, again, it's just kind of getting value out of our cooldowns. We're not going to need it at least until the boss or the downstairs hallway below where we're at the moment. Just like always for this guy, we're going to be using Fallen Order just to help keep up some of the group and make sure that we're not blowing through our mana too quickly. I also do have an Innervate available, so that is helpful in this case. Something to be aware of in this room, if you're going to be using Fallen Order here, use them up top just like that before heading down, otherwise they're going to stand in the middle and they're going to pull that gas bag when he pats back, because they do proxy pull. Even if you cancel the buff, it can't get rid of them and you can't control them either, so just be aware of where you're placing them. With the 2 ads that we've pulled in, I went ahead and just used Crane here because we have less running, people are also getting chopped, and then the leftovers that are jumping around actually do a decent amount of damage as well, so I don't really want someone to get wombo comboed by those. even though, again, it is not fortified, I am going to be using Fallen Order on these ghosts just because they do a surprising amount of damage, and then we will have it up by the time that we need it for the Soul Guard. Our first cooldown here is going to be Fallen Order. I'm also going to use Diffuse, just because the Fire Lieutenant is not here this week, and I didn't get a whole lot of time to prep. I got an Innervate there, which does help, and then for the next one, if we need to, I can use Crane. And the Soul Guardian is going to be Crane. This is our cooldown we're going to assign here. It's not quite dead yet. We also have to deal with bursting and pulling into the next pack, so I'm just going to go ahead and use Fallen Order and we can chain it into the next 2 set. like to use a cooldown on this pack, but I don't want to commit Crane or Revival just because I really like to have them for the next boss coming up, especially on Tyrannical. Sometimes Revival gets blown here if someone dies unexpectedly or a kick gets missed or something like that, but normally I really like to hold on to that for the boss. The biggest tips I can give for this boss are never dispel your tank. If it goes on you, you can defuse yourself. If not, I would be the one to spam healing on myself instead of dispelling myself unless someone else has something. And then save Revival if you can for bad overlaps where the Draw Soul and the Parasite are going out at the same time. Those are the three biggest things that I would recommend for this boss. Outside of that, it's really just managing your mana, making sure that you have Lust, and calling for people to use defensives when you need them to. Something else of note, you can see below my frames, the Boomkin, the Volcanic ate his hands, which is super unfortunate, but it is a bug that happens with this boss on Volcanic weeks. So basically what happened is that the Volcanic spawned under him when he was standing in the hands for the soak, and the Volcanic consumed the hands instead of consuming it when he was supposed to with the hands. There's nothing you can really do about it other than getting unlucky or lucky. But that's what happened there, that's why we lost him. That's really only a Volcanic week thing. Sometimes the hands will spawn up in the air, but I have only seen that a handful of times. Similar problem here, except kind of the opposite. Our DK ran in to go soak his hands while he was stunned. A Volcanic spawned under him and killed him because he also got the dot. I could have revivaled there, and I really should have, but I wasn't expecting all of that damage to happen at once. I thought that AMS would have been enough to keep him up, but he ended up holding on to it. This ad, even on Tyrannical weeks, is really worth putting cooldowns into, just because she does so much damage even on a Tyrannical week. So I'll usually use Fallen Order on her, but I like to hold Crane for Xav just because of the slow mechanic. So the thing about Xav, this is my least favorite boss on Tyrannical. Not because it's hard to heal, because it's actually fairly easy, but more in the sense that I have to run a completely different gear set for this boss specifically than I would like any other dungeon. I have to run a full verse set for this guy to live the Might of Maldraxxus that he does every, 45 seconds, something like that. So right now I've got 30% verse during Fallen Order. I also have Wasteland Propriety. So every one of those jumps, that one had a Sog shield on it, so it wasn't as bad. But every one of these jumps is gonna be something that fucking kills you, because it just does so much damage, and we really don't have enough defensives to go through it without having a gap. So on a 26, I had to also eat Verse Food and Stamp Flask, and I think I still ended up dying to a couple of them when I didn't have like Fallen Order for that tiny shield or Accretion or something. So the biggest thing for that is just make sure that you have enough verse to live it, and everything else is free. But if you die to those smashes, it's gonna be a little rough because they happen so frequently. So right here you can see how low I get. That's with no Accretion, that's with no Sog shield and no defensive, and I was very, very close to dying. So if that was a key any higher, or if I had any less verse on, that would have been death. And we're only halfway through the boss, so you could imagine how difficult that would be for the rest of the group, especially if it's a little bit harder of a week where they might be taking more damage. I do have a video. I didn't upload it because it was a deplete of a 26 theater, but I did want to maybe take the video from Xav and post it either in Discord or here if you guys want to see just how much damage it does on a 26, because I haven't been able to time one of those yet. We went ahead and pulled the trash on a boss. It's not a super big deal. These things don't really do that much. It's bursting, but there's no damage in the first phase of Mordretha anyway, so it's not that big of a deal. It's also not a Grievous week, so we don't have to worry about anything like that. Because I did go into this with a little bit less than full, little more than half mana, but everything should be fine. This boss really only is a tank buster, and you just have to watch out for the bad overlaps as well as the 50% group-wide burst. Alright, and that brings us to the end of our 25 theater. Thank you guys so much for watching. I will leave my socials down below, Twitch, Twitter, Discord, all of those good things. I hope that this video was helpful. I will be updating the guide as normal. That will also be linked below. And I will see you guys in the next video. Thank you for dealing with my sick voice.